What's up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of EXTOL We. And for sure, the first time ever on this channel, you've certainly seen me without a hat on before, just bare hair. But this is the very first time for sure that anyone has ever seen me on any of my videos without a full beard. My cousin Josiah came up to visit me here this last weekend. He has a very manly mustache and said, "Hey, Lige, you ever thought about just rocking just the stash?" And I said, no, I haven't. But he said, what would be the harm in giving it a shot? So, you know what? Took the old razor to the face and been rocking the old mustache for the last week. As I've progressed into this week's episode, I've been thinking through the genius of God and his ways in prophetic timing. That this week's episode post that was just here this last week was Staying the Course, connected then to another video called Resting Without Jesus. At that time, I had been challenged by a person that they thought my videos were horrible and that I was wasting my time. And it was so incredibly difficult to then progress through that next week after they'd shared those insights with me, because of the fact that I knew that I was making 3.5 years of videos for the future that I couldn't change. And so staying the course in the vision that God had given me was so incredibly difficult in that week. I remember I came off of the previous week's video of resting with Jesus, that when we rest with Jesus in the lifeboat with him, that the rest of our day empowers us to live the rest of our day. That having that vision then carried me through that next week after having heard that insight from a friend. Little did I know that I would be posting that video, that then I would have prophetic insight 3.5 years in the future for what I'm going through now. I shared in my last episode, last week or two, that my wife and I had been praying through some different things in regards to our business with Venue Real Estate, and that God had brought in $2 million worth of contracts on the very day that my wife and I were pressing into decisions on Friday, September 15th, 2023, about the direction of our business. God brought provision with 2 contracts in one day on our deadline for $2 million. That I celebrated that. A week later, those 2 contracts terminated. And I went from the height of heights to look at the Lord's provision. This is so amazing. Look what he's doing, to the lowest of the lows, to the place where here this last week, I got up in the morning and there were just so many questions swirling in my mind about, God, what is going on? What is this deal with contracts going under contract and then breaking, clients merging away? Like, God, I trust you for provision for our family, but this is getting really difficult. It was so difficult this last week that I woke up in the morning and was battling back anxiety like crazy. The whole morning then was spent pressing into God, declaring his promises. Be anxious in nothing. If God commands it, there's grace there to walk in it. But having such a difficult time, and that the video then that was posted that I was praying through and listening to over and over and over in that week was staying the course, that regardless of whatever comes against us, that we're to press forward in the vision that Jesus gives to us. That then, as I was praying through that, of staying the course, what is it that Jesus has given me to do? What was my last standing order? Continue forward in that. But then connected to that video likewise was then the video that was posted live in the past of resting without Jesus. And in that video, there was so many things that God had given me by way of revelation of where we're to position ourselves as believers, that we are the light of the world. We are to be a city on a hill, that we're not to hide our lights under a bushel basket, but to go out into the world and to draw near to people. We're the kingdom of heaven drawn near to people that are saying, be reconciled to God. In that video, the first half was one of revelation of that we are to be, as the children of God, positioned in the earth in all kinds of places. The speaking, pouring forth the light of Christ in topics like science, sex, commerce, government, education, and that then my business, Venue Real Estate, is an expression of God having called me out into the marketplace to take ownership of my business and to establish kingdom principles within how I interact within business. That's the overflow of my heart. But that when I spoke that in Resting Without Jesus back in 2020, that I wasn't in a place where I had fully gone over the edge to stepping out on my own to start my own brokerage. That didn't happen then until 2022. But now I am in a place where I am in the world, that I am conducting business, and that I am merging forward with expressing kingdom life within a context of business that helps people to be able to taste and see the Lord's goodness. Tantalized taste buds, open blinded eyes. It's both sign and sacrament. That's where I am here now in 2023. It was so beautiful then to see those two expressions, staying the course and resting without Jesus. And that if I do choose to merge away from the vision that God has called me into in conducting business in real estate and the manner with which he's called me to conduct business, that if I run the opposite way, if I say, no, this is very uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, and I am not going to head towards the place that you're calling me to, and I chart a course in the opposite direction just to keep myself comfortable and safe, and that I turn my ears off from Jesus, that the result is the place where I am to be standing in the world, inviting peace and the prospering of my city, that the result will be I will awaken storms that the world would not otherwise experience if I were not doing what God had called me to do. Family, I don't know where you're at currently in life. I don't know what things that you're facing. But what I'm facing currently in life is the place of refinement in God, where you have to press in by faith to follow what it is that he's asked you to do. That this is my place of feeling like my boat is going out of control, that I'm facing storms and questions that I don't have the capacity to face within the experience and the skills that I have gained and gleaned previous in my life. That those are insufficient to help me merge into what God is doing new. Next is not the same as new. And in as much as Jesus' disciples, who were expert sailors, at least, they never caught fish unless Jesus was interacting with them and interceding on their behalf with supernatural impartation. So they weren't really that great of fishermen. But at least they'd grown up on the water, that they knew how to sail out, cast their nets, and come back with empty nets and do that again the next night. But that they wound up sailing into a storm with Jesus by his direction, and that they found themselves in a context that the experience of their past was insufficient to deal with the difficulties that they found themselves within. The blessed situation they found themselves in, though, was that Jesus was sleeping with them in the lifeboat, and his rest with them was declaring that he trusted them to have capacity to speak to the storm. That he was calling them to rebuke the winds and the waves, and that he was going to catch up on some shut-eye to protect his ears for God, such that when he sailed into a confrontation with a person of destiny, that he would be rested in God to then walk out of the rest of his day and impart victory, freedom, release for a person of destiny that then would guide them into leading the entire Decapolis into a knowledge of God. Friends, wherever you find yourself, I want to declare to you, out of the overflow of the grace that God has imparted to my life and now through my life to you, that he is aware of his servant situations. He's a good Father, and that he's preparing for our needs before we even know to be able to ask him. But 3.5 years ago, God put in place a prophetic word in and over my life to help propel me through a difficult season that he knew was coming for me in the future. That consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of our faith develops perseverance. God very often hides the opportunities of our good works in our lives to manifest the destiny of the good works that he has for us, that he hides them in our life's path as unsolvable problems. They're obstacle illusions, my friend, but when in the midst of them, they absolutely feel real. That the voices of those who say you can't do it, it seems like everyone is saying it. As I went back and thought through my video and the things that I had experienced, it was actually only 2 people who spoke that my videos were not being successful, that they were dumb, nobody was watching them, my vision was horrible. It was 2 voices, and one in particular. The impact, the voice that had in my life was so strong that in that time period, it felt like everyone had said that it so set me back. But now as I listen back to that video in this time and space and really think about it, no, it was one very important voice in my life, and it really set me back. In the same context that the voice of Goliath spouting his lies about how he's going to overtake the people of God and enslave them all for his empire, that the power of the lies of darkness are perfectly tuned to resonate with the insecurities of our lives. But in so doing, as I discover insecurities in my life, it discovers to me that I have established areas of my life and my thinking on false securities, and therefore in those circumstances that I can say, Jesus, I've discovered another place that can be shaken in my life that is not established on you, the rock of ages. And I declare that you do care about the needs of your servants. That I, the Son of Man, am cared for by you. I'm a place of inestimable provision and privilege, that you would be mindful of my needs. And so in so declaring with you, I'm going to stay the course, Jesus, lay down with you, and rest as we sail into a people of destiny. If you subscribe to what we are doing, then hit the button, hit it and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you loved this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on our lives together. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video.